Hiya. So originally I was going to do this in a park and I thought, yeah, I can just stroll on through, have a chat with you guys. Didn't quite work out the way I was expecting it to. So anyway, I'm here in my room doing this. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about something called Furlough Fever, which is something that's happening around a lot of different venues at the moment because some of you guys are coming back, which is great. It's great that you can open for takeaways and you've got those opportunities. Anyway, Furlough Fever. What exactly is it? Basically, it's when the staff members don't want to come back. They are quite happy with being at home and getting 80% of their pay and relaxing and chilling and not today, but normally enjoying the sun and yeah, making the most of summer, which you can understand. But actually, you need them back on site because, as I said, some of you are opening. So I'm just going to talk through the next couple of minutes about some of the different things you need to take into consideration in regards to this, and also some of the ways that you can encourage people back. First of all, sometimes there are some actual reasons why people can't come back on site. One of those reasons might be that they've got an underlying health issue. Now, government advice has been the same all the way through, really, that people that have underlying health issues should be very wary and should sort of quarantine themselves, for lack of a better way. And even now, they kind of should be the last ones that you bring back into work if they actually have a health problem that you need to be aware of. But then you also need to be aware of it. So they need to come to you. There's a bit of a two-way communication thing that has to happen there. The other side of things is they may look after someone who does, or they may have someone in their household that does have an underlying health issue as well. So you need to keep up to date with where they are and all that side of things just to make sure that that's not an issue. Then the other thing to be aware of is coming into work. Now, some people just live down the road from where they work, which is absolutely awesome, but I'm based in London and a lot of you guys are in London, so you know that it can take a long time to get to work using public transport. And at the moment, public transport is a bit of an issue because of crowding and everyone's coming back into the workplaces and all that kind of thing with different industries. So it might be that you have to make some consideration into how long people need to travel, and it might be just changing shift times or all sorts of different things like that. But one of the things you need to be aware of is communicating to find out from your employees what the issues are if they're reluctant to come back into work. So if you've gone through all of these and the people say they don't want to come back into work, then you have to figure out what their concerns are and ask them. Now, your responsibility as an employer is to make sure that the workplace itself is safe for them to come into. So that means having masks available, making sure that you've got sanitizer for hands, but also making sure that you have cleaning products and things for in regards to cleaning surfaces and identifying what surfaces need to be cleaned all the time and having a real system and scheme around that kind of thing. The other thing is making sure that you have safe distances wherever possible. Now, sometimes, because I know what it's like back of house and things, sometimes this is almost impossible, but try your hardest to do this as much as possible. And do risk assessments to find out what you can do about these kind of things and mitigate as much risk as possible. The other thing is that your staff are not going to be the only people in the venue. You're going to have other contractors coming in, delivery people coming in. Also look at the fact that your customers need to be educated now about how they move around the venue. So think about those kind of things. Think about your pinch points in your venue. How can you make sure that you don't have a funnel effect for staircases and toilets and entrances? And in the ideal scenario, you would have one entrance that is only used as an entrance and then have an exit that is only used as an exit. But I mean, we know our venues and that's not always appropriate. So you've made sure everything's fine, but the the staff member still doesn't want to come in. So the best thing to do is ask and find out what it is that is making them concerned about coming in. Now, sometimes you may be surprised. They might have picked up on something that you didn't even consider. And wherever possible, again, make sure that you try and give them some kind of reassurance, and that could be by potentially making a change or explaining to them how certain things happen. I'm just going to talk very briefly about gloves, because gloves have come up quite a bit in my discussions with people recently. I personally do not recommend the use of gloves. I know, controversial, but I think people get too complacent in gloves, and they're more likely to wash their hands if they don't have gloves on. Think about it. How often do you change your gloves, and how often do you wash your hands if you don't have gloves on? And how often do you wash your hands if you do have gloves on? You just don't do it, really, do you? So I'm not a big fan of gloves. I've previously, before COVID-19, I have been in delis where I've seen people wear gloves because they're handling meat, and then they handle salad, and then they handle something else, and the cross-contamination is just crazy. Gloves should be for a one-use only kind of thing. They're ideal for medical instances. They're great in kitchens if people have cuts on their hands, but you should be going through a lot of gloves if you're in a kitchen or if you're in a medical environment, because you use the gloves, you get rid of the gloves, you put on new gloves, and you do a different task. And that's not how people tend to use gloves in hospitality if they are using gloves. So it's something to be aware of, and it's something that that's the reasoning behind me not recommending the use of gloves, but recommend the use of masks. I think we're going to find in the next few weeks that it is a high priority from the government for people to use masks. It is something that has just been issued by WHO, that people in the public should be using masks for general transportation, but also in public spaces. So I really think that there's going to be more of a push on masks, but you can get masks now and get them branded for the venues and all sorts of different things. You can make them fun. There's a lot of different options out there. You don't need to get medical masks. You can get other kinds of masks. So a definite must for reopening of anything is to get some form of masks for your staff. And also, if they're travelling in, make sure that they've got some masks that they can use for travelling in as well. I think that's a really nice thing to do and to give to staff. Okay, so you've done all that. They still don't want to go to work. Basically, they're enjoying themselves at the moment. So the next thing is that you have the normal rights you would have if a staff member didn't turn up to work, and that is to follow the normal disciplinary route. Of course, you have to do that legally, so it is, your verbal warnings, your written warnings, your final dismissal, and going along that way. My recommendation before you start any of it, though, is to send an email or a letter. Yes, written correspondence as opposed to verbal on the phone. It's always far more official, to the person and say, look, I'm really sorry, but you're leaving me with absolutely no way of going forward unless I follow the disciplinary route now. So I'm going to give you another chance just to let me know why you don't want to come in, or this is where we're going to go. And sometimes that's all that is needed. And when people come back into the venues and they get into the swing of things, not for the first couple of days, because it's getting back off furlough into the venues, but afterwards they're fine. They just need to get back into the systems and the processes and things. So the reason why I wanted to put this through here is because it kind of relates to my last post. And in the way that a lot of the venues that are currently struggling from furlough fever. I'm not saying all of them. There are some exceptions that sort of break the mold. There always will be. But a lot of the venues are the ones that haven't been communicating with their staff members. They haven't had those team get-togethers. They haven't had the bonding sessions. They haven't built up that rapport again with the staff. And also the thing is, the beauty with these kind of team meetings and things is that you can identify people's concerns during these meetings and actually make those changes so that you don't have that resistance as such for coming back on site. Really, really important to do that. The other thing is that you need to try and give people as much notice as possible that you're reopening. Legally, I think it's 48 hours or 24 hours, but I would strongly recommend more time than that. People have been off work for a long time at the moment, and they need to psychologically prepare themselves for coming back on and working within the venue. So if you can give them as much of a lead up as possible, then half your fight will be gone, because they will have time to process that and sort of get all those last things that they wanted to do done before they come off furlough. Okay, so the other thing to be aware of in regards to furlough is, yes, if you need your staff members now, you need your staff members now. You know, that's just what the requirements are. But going forward, the government is bringing in new policies, which means that you'll be able to bring people partially off furlough, so you might be able to share around the shifts a little bit more, so more of your staff can gradually come on, and but the government will still support you paying for some of it as well. And that is a nice way, after you've brought your skeleton staff on, that's kind of a nice way to bring the rest of the staff on gradually so they get used to those kind of things. So that's all I'm going to say for now, but I'm going to try and do a vlog soon in regards to looking at different ways that you can look at your business for different revenue streams coming up, because obviously we want to try and open as soon as possible to get that money coming in so you can pay those bills for rents and all that kind of stuff. So I will see you soon, but you have a great week. Bye.